everyone. Good to have you all here for this Tuesday, May 14th inquiry. Today is my older sister's birthday. I always love May 14th. She's a very fine woman and greet people as they come in. So let's begin with a period of sitting practice. Hello, everyone. I'm Suzanne Kilkus, coming to you from Open Door Zen Community here in Madison, Wisconsin. Flint, a couple of weeks ago, talked about the feelings that arise when those of us who sit in this seat with this function, are aware of the gap between what we intended to say and what actually came out of our mouth. And when I heard him say that, I so recognized that in me. And then I heard Joel identify with it last week as well. So again, here we are, and we're offering our best as we can. So I'm just going to dive right in. And I'll explain why I've chosen this topic in just a moment. So here's a saying, or a beginning of the Song of Zazen, Hakuin Song of Zazen. All beings by nature are Buddha. As ice by nature is water, apart from water, there is no ice. Apart from beings, no Buddha. As I said, this is the first stanza of Hakuin's Song of Zazen, and this is a piece that Flint brought to us, focused teachings on during our spring retreat here in Madison. I think it says something quite amazing and yet quite ordinary, something we hear and chant in one way or another frequently as we practice, the idea or the awareness that we are Buddha nature, that our very inborn nature is basic goodness, is light, and is awakened nature. Bodhidharma, the ancestor monk of great compassion, founder of Zen Buddhism in China, who is said to have spent 9 years facing the wall meditating, every time I hear that and I imagine it, it's unimaginable, actually, I think, or unimaginable. Actually, there's many fantastic stories told about him and his life. But one thing is clear, the writing and the teachings attributed to him are focused on the nature of mind and Buddha nature. Here's 2 small pieces. A special transmission outside the scriptures, not depending on words or letters, directly pointing to the mind, seeing into one's true nature, and attaining Buddhahood. Here's the other one. Self-nature is inconceivably wondrous in the Dharma of oneness. Not raising a distinction between Buddhas and beings is called not slandering the triple treasure. Nancy Mujo Baker, in her wonderful book, Openness to Oneness, offers the meaning of this to be that we are the triple treasure. We are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So here's another short teaching. Buddha nature simply means that we all have the same innate potential to awaken from samsara. Rest in that potential and it will guide you home. That's from Pith teachings. I talked about that, I think, the last time I came here. That's from the Pith teachings in The Awakening Heart by Jamyang Tenful. So here's why I'm coming to you with Buddha nature. A few weeks ago, I gave a talk to our Sangha with the theme of There's Always Something. It came from having my husband receive a challenging medical diagnosis that followed 6 months of recovering from a very challenging surgery experience. I had some struggle with accepting of this next thing. As is my frequent experience, though, something presents itself for my attention. That something was noticing the many references to Buddha nature or basic goodness, such as the ones I cited above. I know I've seen them many times before, but they seem to jump out and knock me over the head this time. It doesn't seem to matter where we are in our practice or our training. We can still slip in and out of what we know to be true. I'm guessing that many of us wonder about this reality of Buddha nature within and don't quite know what to do with it in the difficult circumstances of our lives. Questions that arise are, how could this be? Where's the evidence of Buddha nature in our troubled world? What do I need to do to show this or to realize this for myself? Should I even think about it? With everything that's going on in my life, is this even a worthy inquiry? Or is it just navel-gazing? Questions poured out, and with each one came a response of some sort, but they were all around this. Just practice. Just stay with your practice. Sit in stillness. Let everything come up that comes up and let it be. Return to your breath. So that's pretty much what I did. And I do really enjoy seeking out services or resources or sources that really help ground things, ground these truths. I find that Suzuki Roshi is one of the great sources of ancestral encouragement for the truth. I came across, or actually was sent, a link to a little booklet called To Shine One Corner of the World, Moments with Suzuki Roshi. Many of you might know of this. It's by David Chadwick, his biographer. It's gathered stories from his students in a variety of settings. These stories, little vignettes really, capture a view of this treasured teacher as he proceeded to shine light on the world around him, especially toward his students. It struck me that he didn't so much teach as just commented on what he saw, experienced, and knew through the lens of reality, life as it is, and the truth of Buddha nature within. At one point he said, just to be alive is enough. I know that the first time I read that and heard that, I went, really? Can that be as we look around at our world, at ourselves through the lens of our conditioned experience? Well, I would like to offer some commentaries by Suzuki Roshi and a few others to ground us in the truth of who we are. And it's from this little booklet. I've been coming across these references over the last several weeks. It's been really interesting, and I decided to put them together as encouragement for us. My intention is to set solid ground for us to stand upon as we move forward off the cushion and into the world and our lives. I know this has been said before, and in much better ways. And I know also that repetition is the basis of practice. I offer them with deep gratitude and appreciation for all the encouragement we receive along the way. So I'll begin with the title of the booklet, To Shine One Corner of the World, is a line from the Lotus Sutra, attributed to Shakyamuni Buddha. Suzuki Roshi is said to have spoken of it often, and once he expanded on it. We say, he said, to shine one corner of the world, just one corner. If you shine one corner of the world, then people around you will feel better. You will always feel as if you are carrying an umbrella to protect people from heat and rain. I really like that image. Maybe because we're on a rainy day here, and we carry around umbrellas on rainy days. I think he's pointing to the expression of our basic goodness here. Another time he said, each of you is perfect the way you are, and you can all use a little improvement. This is an oft-quoted comment, that speaks to both our true nature and our conditioned lives. He does it in a way that doesn't cancel out one or the other. It's an expression of wholeness, and I'm sure was done with a twinkle in his eye. Another time, during a talk, Roshi said that some of us wanted to be Zen masters and that this was very foolish. He said he wished he was like us, just starting out. Maybe you think you are green apples hanging on a tree, waiting to ripen so that you can be Buddhas. But I think you are already ripe, perfect Buddhas now, ready to be picked. I'm imagining that if I had heard that, I might ask, what do you see that you say this, Roshi? And I'm imagining him saying back, it's not what I see, it's what I know you to be. And then one day during tea break, a student standing next to Suzuki Roshi asked, so what do you think of all of us crazy Zen students? Roshi replied, I think you're all enlightened until you open your mouth. He had a way of stating a truth and then pointing out the contrary action that covers it up. During a break on the fourth day of a sesshin at Tassajara, a student says, I stood on the bridge overlooking the creek. It was a beautiful fall day. The leaves on the trees were all vibrating and alive, and I could see energy coursing through everything. Suzuki Roshi came by and looked in my eyes and said, stay exactly like that. Receiving this kind of encouragement from a teacher is life-changing, and people changed because of their relationship with him. Now and then Suzuki Roshi would point this out. In the Lotus Sutra, Buddha says to light one corner, not the whole world, just one corner, but just make it clear where you are. So all these messages and teachings about recognizing our Buddha nature, our basic goodness, is basic to being able to live our vow and offering ourselves to the world. We need to take our lives seriously while holding them lightly. We can get caught up in checking whether what we do makes an impact. There certainly is a place in our complex world for assessing the effect of a policy and subsequent actions. However, in this spiritual practice life, it's best to let go of the outcome. For looking at the world as broken is so discouraging. We need to let it be as it is. It's our business to live by our vow, our intentions, our commitments, owning the truth of who we are, of the goodness of our capacity for unstoppable kindness. That's a term I've learned recently as a description for metta practice, unstoppable kindness. And from unstoppable kindness, appropriate actions for us to take will arise. Sharon Salzberg, the esteemed author and teacher of loving kindness, has suggested that if we attend to the 3 feet around us, we will be making an excellent contribution to healing and wholeness. Just imagine if we joined countless other people doing the same thing, we would cover a great deal of ground. And of course, the ripple effect goes on endlessly. At our recent Madison Spring Retreat, the theme of which was sitting down and standing up, we talked about what is needed to live a full practice life. Here are some of the gems. By the way, one of our members, Mickey Joe, after the retreat, he sends me in some form or another a picture or a list, and then he gives it as a Dharma talk of notes that he's taken that are one-liners. And here's some of them are included in this list. You've got what you need, so don't waste time. Zen practice is about removing the barriers to love. Joy, enlightenment, awakening is an accident. Practice makes us accident prone. I know that that's attributed to Bernie Glassman Roshi. Self-nature is like the paper from which origami is created. And a personal take with my experience from retreat is that things are looking dangerous, but they're not serious. So I have some questions to seed you coming forth, and you can add anything else that you would like or that's moving for you. What realizes Buddha nature for you? What do you think about this idea of shining light in one corner of the world? Where do you witness that? How do you come to know who you really are? How do you see that in other people? What happens when you drop your effort in making something happen and practice anyway? So, as is always my experience, people coming forward for me is an opportunity to receive such rich teachings from all of you. And we've all said it over time, is that you might be scared about stepping forward, but you are stepping forward and probably going to be talking about something that other people benefit from. And that's really something important to consider. So I hope you'll consider coming forward. Thank you.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hello, Mary Beth. I love your background.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really resonated with the questions of where is my corner? I can't remember how you said it, but those three questions that you just asked, it was interesting because the answer to all three for me was when I'm sitting on my cushion. So the challenge then becomes taking it out into non-cushion times, right? But to answer your questions, I think that is where I am when I feel those, is on my cushion.
I love you calling off the cushion non-cushion times rather than real life, as so many
Yeah.
people say. Yeah. Can you describe that experience a bit more, Mary Beth?
Can you ask one of the questions again?
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about this idea of shining light in one corner of the world? How do you come to know who you really are?
Yeah, I'll answer that one. How do I come and describe the experience of that? How do I come to know who I really am?
Yeah.
You know, I think I had a turn about sitting on the cushion in the last intensive I had. And that was realizing that sitting is an expression of my Buddha nature,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
I've known that, I've heard that, but when you actually get that turn of, oh, I get it, I get what is
Yeah.
being said,
Yeah.
um, that was my experience throughout the rest of the intensive after I woke up to realizing that I'm already awake and sitting on the cushion is just a reminder. And it's such a joyful experience because it's just a reminder of how I'm already awake. I'm already Buddha nature. I'm already the light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and I forget, right? So, I've been sitting, of course, since then, and I forget. But then today you reminded me,
Mm-hmm.
And when I sit tomorrow, hopefully I'll remember that I'm sitting to express the light and my Buddha nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And my husband, who was a college teacher, he had a sign on his door that repetition is the pedagogy of learning, and which means essentially we need to repeat a lot in order in our practice in order to come to know. And I always appreciated that, and that's how what I'm hearing from you is
Mm,
practicing on your cushion reveals who you really are, and you take that out into the world.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Mm. Thank you,
Thank
Mary.
you.
Mhm. Hello, Nancy.
Hi, Suzanne. Thank you so much for your teaching. Wow. Um, I I love that you're reminded that we're all Buddha, that we don't have to even know it. And I know that I've heard that a lot from Flint and you, and that keeps escaping me. You know, it's like, oh, that's right. I'm supposed to be this thing that I already am, that I keep trying to be, that I never feel I am, you know, so it helps. But the one corner of the world, shining a light in one corner of the world, um, that really just resonated with me today too. That was really helpful because, like, I think I'm a guilt-ridden person. Like, I feel bad about this and that, and I should be doing this and that, and so my mind gets kind of like torn in little pieces about, what I am doing and what maybe I think I should be doing and what I'm not doing. And maybe I'm doing what I want to do, but then I maybe feel like, well, I should be helping someone or I should be fixing the world or making everyone stop fighting or, bringing peace to everyone or, this global, activity that just weighs on our soul all the time. So it's really helpful to think about what we do in our own little corner of the world. And, like I'm creating a new garden and I'm in a new neighborhood. So I'm reaching out to people around me, and, bringing them a piece of cake or, just welcoming myself to their space or things like that. And that makes me feel like what your message makes me feel like maybe that's okay. Maybe that's enough right now.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
maybe just doing those little things that I do to be me, um, because I can't fix the whole thing. And I'm tired. I'm physically tired right now, emotionally, working on getting my strength back. And so maybe that's just enough right now. Maybe that is the message is, like you said, how do you come to see who you really are? Um, that maybe just the little things that I'm doing can be enough to see that that's kind of who I've always been, is
Mm-hmm.
just doing the little things. If I just could slow down and stop the mind from doing this,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I think it's enough. I think
Mm-hmm.
if we do that, and then like you say, it goes out into the world
Mm-hmm.
if we show up that way.
Mm-hmm. You might be
So
giving your neighbors an idea to take a piece of cake to somebody else. There you go.
maybe, yeah,
It,
exactly.
those are beautiful stories. I'm just imagining you in your neighborhood, Nancy. That story I told about Sharon Salzberg, when I read it, the fuller story was she came to that idea while riding on the subway in New York, and it was crowded in the car, and she saw a young man do a kindness for another person. And it suddenly came to her, oh, if everybody in this subway car paid
Right.
attention to the 3 feet around them, we would all be having a very different experience.
Ah, What a
Had a great,
beautiful image.
had a great teaching. I just loved it. I read it, oh, many years ago, but I've kept it in my heart.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't have to ride the subway, thank goodness, every day, but we can do it anywhere.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's just really that. Thank you for the teaching. It's really helpful to kind of ground me and get my feet back under me for
Hmm.
this moment.
Yeah.
I go back out there again. But
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward, Nancy. Hmm. Hello, Becky.
Thank you. Um, oh, thank you so much, Suzanne. Um, it's been with me recently too, like looking because I went to an intensive earlier at Apamata, and we got to do that as a, breakout room or small group things, um, to just look at each other and see the Buddha before us. And that was very powerful. And I think a lot of what we're doing in terms of reclaiming, reknowing, like remembering who we are, um, that yes, sitting sometimes reminds us and or informs us uh, of who we are, and sometimes my understanding of who I am stretches further and further in sitting, and also in the way that as Sangha, and I don't just mean like one little Sangha, although that's often where much of our presence is, where we get it, but that we encourage each other just by our like just by our journey and sharing it with others, and whether it's like a hug in person or one online, or any of those things, we are encouraging the person who is the Buddha. And yes, our brains often have a lot of sieve, you know, uh, that we do forget sometimes, especially when it's something going on that makes us feel bad about ourselves or inadequate to things in some kind of way because of our history, because of the societies we live in. One of the things that I really saw more clearly than I have ever is that remembering who we are, there was like our evolution brought us to this place where we have the ability to talk about and be aware of our Buddha nature. All beings have Buddha nature, but some aren't aware of it. They just are it. And that's both the thing that I think mixes us up, as well as is amazing and beautiful, and that in our evolution, though, where we are now, we are living with the impact of conquerors, the conquerors who have broken down and made rules against the any of the cultures that have believed that they are, it's like, and that's been broken down across time. And so the socializations that we receive in this kind of time and place and everything, is harder and harder for human beings to get beyond that.
Well, when you are able to set all of that aside, not that that's not true or that we can see it around us, but when you're able to set all of that aside, Becky, What do you face?
It's amazing. It's beautiful, and
Mhm.
it's fulfilling now when I also have a clear that through the practice and the teachings that are,
Yeah.
and as you know, I live in an assisted living,
Mhm.
and it it really is quite amazing
Mhm.
to be here. It's a little more than a 3 feet space, though.
Well, the 3 feet keep going out and out and out, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. And
Yeah.
I've been watching. I mean, I've been here, what, 2.5 years,
Oh,
and
uh-huh.
I've watched some of it as one person's experience of something, then they move on, and then they often ask for an opportunity to talk with me.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Yeah.
sometimes 1-to-1, and now we have a little group, and like
Great.
it's quite beautiful. And yet, as other people have been saying, the world is kind of you know overwhelming when and if we look beyond that, well, so I just don't. No,
Yeah.
that's not. No, I don't stick my hand. I don't stick. I know it's happening,
Yeah.
but I don't watch the details of it,
Yeah.
because it isn't really different news than it was 40 years ago or 100 years ago.
That's
It's
right.
just we hear about it more, and we um, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's our neighbors we need to
It's our
touch with.
neighbors.
Yeah,
Mhm. Thank you so much, Becky.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Mhm.
Thank you so much,
Hello,
Suzanne.
Leah. Thank
Hi.
you.
Um, I was struck by so many uh, things in your talk. So, um, what was interesting when I pondered the questions that you asked was these images that were coming up about that happened over this weekend. That was actually coming up in my meditation as well earlier. And my own experience of uh, becoming myself is the process of returning to my Buddha nature, and um, that resonates so much. And also, it seems that it's I have this sort of that like sometimes I'm full of myself and full of my Buddha nature when I feel like I'm around other people who are accepting or is aware of it and
Mhm.
is on the path as well.
Mhm.
And it's very easy.
Mhm.
Um, and this past weekend, I had, 3 days of like lots of family time, and I was present to all the gradients of um, different people who are on their path or whether they're aware, um, and also some family members who are completely not i- at any level of awareness
Mhm.
um, of their Buddha nature yet. And I find that myself or my light or my Buddha nature shrinks when I start to think about their experience. It's almost like this meta experience of being with them, of just closing myself up because I maybe I know like I don't know how to relate
Ah.
because it feels as though we're existing in different worlds or something.
Mhm.
It's like this experience of like I can it's like I can see like what they're talking about or what they're saying
Yeah.
um is um, I don't know how to describe it actually. It's almost like chatter or, you know, um, it's like I'm witnessing to this layer of existence, or maybe the Buddha calls it the dream. They're in the dream world.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to get pulled into it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how to exude like Buddha nature fully, you know? And so compassion and kindness becomes just basically going,
Leah,
and trying to find something to say that's kind.
you're talking about something so important, Leah. There was a famous family therapist, Carl Whitaker, who said to a very large auditorium of family therapists, "You'll never get out of your family alive." And he heard a lot of groans around the room. And he said to them, "You all have a lot of work to do." Family is the container for practice. Sometimes we have to step away or we have to love from afar. And sometimes we're going to be in the midst of it and go, how am I going to be? What's the kindest thing I can do here? How can I bring my open and compassionate heart? It just is that way. It just
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
And I feel sadness around the distance, you know?
Sure. Yes. Yes, we can. And it is, I mean, sad always reflects something that is a loss for us. And that's part of the living circumstance, our conditioned circumstance
Mm,
for it.
mm, thank you. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just a light bulb just went off about acceptance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Well,
struggle seemed to have resolved.
right, right. Well, keep in mind that not only when we ask that question about kindness, does it need to, do we go, how can I be kind here? But how can I be kind here?
Hmm. Mm. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. What's the kindness I need?
mhm.
Okay, take care. Nice meeting you, Leah.
Um, Hi,
Hello,
Suzanne.
son.
Nice to meet you or see you again. I can't
Nice
remember.
to meet you. I saw you in inquiry last week. You came
Oh,
forward.
good. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm like the prodigal daughter returning to
Oh.
the to the Sangha. I've been a practitioner at Appamada for 18 years, and so, but I'm nomadic and uh, I have rapid evolutionary processes. Um, but I was just looping back to what Joel, this gap between intention and impact.
Yes.
And what Leah was describing was this gap between what could be and what is. And I was feeling that loss too, where you have this strong sense. It sort of connects me back to this Norman Fisher book about imagination.
Yes.
I forget. Oh, the world could
The
be
world
other.
could be otherwise.
Yeah, it's a great book, and it's the same phenomenon. And Leah did arrive at that space of acceptance, or at least named it.
Mhm.
And I think it's such a there's such a tension there, such a dissonance between what we hope, what we long for, what we can witness as awakening, and people who are actively trying to become present, to waking up to what we do, waking up to what we say, waking up to how the mind works. And when you're in the company of people who aren't up to that yet, or are not, or actively against it, even that happens, it's just very painful. It's and I think I'm just present to how I think I might be on a bell curve on the extreme end of people who long for something to be different, uh, which partly motivates the desire to shine a corner of the world or to shine any piece of it. So I have this fascination with our Bodhisattva vows, because they put us straight in the heart of that difficulty.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm like, what are we doing?
Exactly.
Why did we agree to
Exactly.
this?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, it's so hard.
Mhm.
And so I guess I'm just speaking to this aspiration for acceptance while simultaneously showing up. It's just so difficult. It's
Mhm.
really can be painful,
Mhm.
particularly when you love deeply and you witness deeply. It's
Mhm.
particularly challenging.
Mhm.
So I think
Mhm.
I just wanted to name that, and
Thank
be.
you so much for naming it and for putting it to words.
Mhm.
Given how my motivation for talking about this today, to have everything you're talking about and showing up anyway. If
Yeah.
we wait to show up,
Mhm.
we get to be in big trouble, big trouble. We have to show up anyway. Our corner is here. What are we
I
going to do?
know.
Mm-hmm.
It's so messy, it's so messy and so fraught. And so this is why I'm so grateful for this space, because um, at least it's a place we can be held and nourished while we're going through these brambles. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there's times when I wish I would go back to sleep, you know, like I remember Flint and Peg. We used to make a joke about you should put a sign on the door at Apamata that said like "Caution ye who enter here," because it's not going to be pretty,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you don't get to distract yourself from all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So I have such admiration for the work that we do, but I also have such empathy for how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and also I have this aspiration to accept life as it is. Flint always says that life as it is. And he
Mm-hmm.
also says, how simple are you willing to let this be? And things
Mm-hmm.
like that,
Mm-hmm.
kind of remind you. But
Yes. It's such great encouragement, isn't it?
mhm,
For our showing up.
yeah.
There's a Rumi poem that each stanza ends, "Don't go back to sleep."
I
I can't think of any other lines, but that line, "Don't go back
know.
to sleep."
Oh,
Or one I brought recently and Flint brought it last fall to us, "The Facts of Life" by Padre Kotuma. And the very last two lines are, all we're left to do is to live and to love. That's
mm-hmm,
it, to live and to love.
mm-hmm,
And we get to decide how to do that in our corner of the world.
mm-hmm.
And we
And
can trust. Go
yeah,
ahead.
it reminds me of one other quote from Ram Dass about I can do nothing for you but work on myself, and you can do nothing for me but work on yourself. And so there is this place where you can come back to is like, what can I clean up in here, and what can I extend? You said it to Leah about what kindness can I offer here.
Right, right.
Yeah,
We're included in that corner of the world.
right.
We're
Yeah.
there. We're included.
Yeah, and when we can't be effective, at least we can extend kindness to ourselves for not being able to be effective as we try to shine something. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you, son. Thank you for
Yeah, I'm
coming
so happy
forward
to see
again.
you. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Take care.
I will. See you again.
We have time maybe for a lightning round, as we've called it here. Or we can close in quiet.
Hi,
Hi, Sue. Hi, Mike.
hi, Suzanne. It's so
Good to
good.
see you.
Hi, Ed. Good to see you too. Good to see all of you. I've gotten so much out of this. My heart was pounding the whole time, and it's because everything you said, everything everyone else said, was just hitting me in that space of like, yes, yes, yes. Being my age and having a lot of life experience seeing how life has cooked me in a way that has brought out a lot more awareness of just like me, you know, there's that. And I'm trying to be really, really quick because I know it's almost 1:30, but there is a poem by Rumi that I heard, you know, maybe 20 years ago, and I still to this day love it. It's called Chickpea to Cook. And it's about a chickpea that's in this soup. And the soup, well, they're making the soup. And the chickpea is really feeling how hot it is in soup and it's wanting to get out of there. And the soup stirrer keeps going, nope, stay there. There's a little bit more. And finally, the chickpea says, cook me some more. Cook me some more, life, cook me some more. And I loved that. And something about everything that's been said today just reminds me that that's my vow. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. And I understand you've been cooked for 50 years, the two of you in your marriage. Congratulations.
A lot of cooking,
A lot of cooking. A lot of
a lot of seasoning. Yeah.
yes. All right. So I want to offer the merit here first before we'll recite the refuges. May all awakened beings extend with true compassion their luminous mirror wisdom. May the merit and virtue of this group, along with our everyday practices, extend to all beings everywhere. May all be relieved of suffering, free from fear, longing, aversion, and ignorance, and may the way of awakening go on endlessly. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. We take refuge in Buddha before all being, immersing body and mind deeply in the way, awakening true mind. We take refuge in Dharma before all being, entering deeply the merciful ocean of Buddha's way. We take refuge in Sangha before all being, bringing harmony to everyone free from hindrance. Now all being has completely taken refuge in Buddha. Now all being has completely taken refuge in Dharma. Now all being has completely taken refuge in Sangha. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a
Thanks,
good
everybody.
week. Yes.
And I just want to remind you that Appamada's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity. So your support does make a huge difference. And if you go to appamada.org/contribute, you'll see a link for contributions. And if you want to continue, just put yourself into gallery mode, stay online, nothing else you have to do. We've got an additional 30 minutes or so. So as Maria would say, just pop yourself into gallery view and we'll see you in a moment. Thank you.